No, I don't hear saying.
First of all, I don't know what's Kayla. I'm very excited for Kayla, Jordan, Benjamin, and Leona that are doing the grand trip. And a bunch of other people that got Israel tickets and redeemed credits in other ways. So good for you. Leona asked me for a makeup because she missed a class. We're gonna do it. And Abby also, we're gonna do it on Thursday at 5. Does that work for you? I see your. If anybody anybody can comment on what I'm trying to say. If you want, does that work for you, Donnie?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so let someone know because I want you guys to get the credit. So if you need makeups. Other than the makeup, I think this might be the last JewishU class for the year. It's been such a nice year. It's been a year of so much Torah learning. We feel so blessed to be able to fill the Chabad house with Torah learning. So thank you guys so much for learning. And I know you do get like the credits and whatnot, but I know that there's a lot of things tugging at you, and the fact that you make the time to come learn Torah is very special and very meaningful. So thank you guys for filling the Chabad house with Torah learning. And before I'm gonna let the class start, I promise, but we are having like a year-end little kind of recognizing the JewishU students.
What do you mean little? What do you mean little?
Big. I mean, big. A gift for everybody, and it's not just for JewishU students. You can have all your friends come on Lag BaOmer, which is Monday night and Tuesday. So we're gonna do Tuesday dinner time, like 6 p.m. barbecue, shawarma. Not tomorrow. A week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow. Lag BaOmer, Tuesday, 6 p.m.
Tuesday, 6 p.m.
Be there or be isosceles chapter.
That's here. They don't have an instrument they play. Anyone musical?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keyboard.
If you bring a keyboard, that'd be cool. I have a piano in my house next door, but I don't know if we can move it. Okay, so we'll figure out the music situation for Lag BaOmer, but I just thought if anyone plays, that'd be fun. Or if you know anyone on campus that plays, ask them if they'll play music.
Okay, everybody ready for the start of the class? All right. Welcome to the last official JewishU class of the year.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. And let's
Okay,
see the video, just wait. Okay, now you can.
Okay, welcome everyone to the last official JewishU class of the year. Even though, as Siva mentioned, there is a makeup on Thursday, 5 p.m. for those who need a makeup. So you can feel free to come then. It'll be most likely on the Parsha. It's a makeup, so it could be really on any topic that we choose, but it's probably going to be on the Parsha of the week or something like that. So today is the official last class of the year. Very happy about that, very sad about that at the same time. And this is our course on Jewish marriage, dating, and marriage. And this is class number 4. So we're going to kind of break it into 2 parts, today's class. But first of all, I want to just say thank you to everyone for coming to this class, to the other courses you may have participated in. And congratulations to those who were accepted to some of the summertime trips. It's very exciting. We look forward to hearing to receiving postcards from Barcelona or wherever you may be. Please send us a postcard. I'm not joking. Send us a postcard. Please let us know. Email's also good. A text message with a picture of you enjoying Barcelona or wherever you're going to be, Panama, etc. is great, but a postcard is pretty awesome. So now that I put that little plug in for JewishU and some of the rewards and the trips, if you have questions about the rewards and so on and so forth, you could let us know. I'll probably tell you I don't exactly know the answer and ask you to email someone at the JewishU office. But in any event, and as Tippa mentioned, we're having the very special year-end gala. The highlights, really the year-end gala is for any student who wants to participate, whether they came to JewishU courses or not. But we're going to highlight those of you who carved time from your schedule to learn Torah in JewishU. So everyone's welcome, but the highlight is the JewishU students, and we love you, and we're so happy that you came. So, marriage, that's today's topic. It's a big topic, and there's a lot to talk about. We spoke already a little bit about dating. We spoke a little bit about engagement and marriage a little bit as well, I think. So today's class is officially about marriage, and I'm going to split it into 2 general parts. which is going to be a little bit about the laws of Taharat HaMishpacha, the laws of family purity, which since we do have a mixed crowd, I'm not going to go into details. But we're going to talk about it in a general sense, and just let it be known that if you ever do have questions, whether you yourself get engaged or preparing for marriage and would like to study the laws of Taharas Mishpacha, of family purity, sometimes known as the laws of Nida, but usually we call it the laws of family purity, Taharas Mishpacha. Women, you can feel free to reach out to Tzippa. There's no obligation to study with her or not, but if you ever have questions or want to ask her, whether it's before you get married, after you get married, or 10 years down the line, you can always reach out. And men, likewise, you can always reach out to me. If you have questions ever at any point about the laws of family purity, you can always feel free to reach out to myself or to Tzippa, and we will be happy to help you, whether that's before you get married, after you get married, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, and so on and so forth. We're here, we're happy to help if we're able to, God willing. So that being said, first we're going to talk a little bit about the general structure of marriage life according to the Torah. Again, I'm not going to go into many details because it is a mixed crowd, but we're still going to talk about some of it. And then the second part of the class we're going to talk about, and they may kind of blend together a little bit because I do think it's more of a holistic thing rather than like, I don't believe so much in compartmentalizing Jewish life. I believe that there's such a thing called Jewish life, and that's everything. So I don't like to compartmentalize so much. But the second part of the class is going to be more of a discussion of what is marriage meant to look like, and what is the purpose of keeping the laws of Taharas Mishpacha, and what's it going to lead us towards, and that kind of thing. So, with no further ado, and please feel free, if you have any questions or comments as I go, please feel free to stop me and ask questions. I'll do the best that I can to address those questions as we go. So, where do we start? Let's start at the beginning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and then God made man. He decided that man alone wasn't really so gishmak, wasn't so enjoyable, wasn't so great. So he decided it would be a good idea that man should have someone to build a family with, to build a world with, to build a life with. So that's Adam, and Chava. And Chava is Eve. What is the difference between Adam and Eve? God created them differently. We know there's physical differences. There's also spiritual, emotional differences. And there's often a blending of the two, right? People might say, oh, men are like this and women are like that. Okay, yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true. There's for sure a spectrum of what men are like and what women are like. Maybe we would like to say masculine versus feminine. There's different types of energies. So I don't know if men are like anything, and I don't know if women are like anything. There are definitely trends and ideas, but there's also a spectrum, and there's an overflow where a man might have certain feminine aspects to his personality, and a woman might have certain so-called masculine tendencies to their personality. So Adam, the word Adam in Hebrew, Aleph is an Aleph and Daled Mem. Daled Mem is dam, is blood. Is an element to man of blood, of passion, if you will, of excitement, of energy. The Torah tells us, let me stay away from that for now. But whereas so in a sense there's an element to man, or the masculine, if you will, which is related to the blood. It's very, I guess, self-driven in a sense. It's about the blood. Blood is about life. It's about preservation of life in a sense. Whereas woman, Chava, right, in Hebrew, Eve, Chava, if you think about it in modern Hebrew, Chavaya. You heard the word Chavaya? Is an experience. Woman, so to speak, is about the experience. And that's part of the difference between man and woman. Again, I don't mean every man, and I don't mean every woman. So you'll understand where I'm going with this, right? That I'm not saying everyone's always like this. There's a certain element to the so-called masculine or male personality that is about kind of just like life and the preservation of life, but not so much about the experience. Kind of just like, let me do what I need to do and move on with life, so to speak. And that's why oftentimes a man may compartmentalize, even though I said I don't like to compartmentalize, but the male tendency can be to compartmentalize. There's this part of my life, there's when I'm at work, and then there's this part of my life, and there's this part of my life. And so to in marriage, a man may compartmentalize. There's the technical part of my life, there's the paying bills part of my life, and there's the intimacy with my wife part of my life. And they're kind of like, they're kind of separate. Again, not every man, but there may be that tendency. Whereas women tend to have the chava. Chava means Eve. Chava means an experience. It's not just about one thing or the other, it's the overall experience. And women in general, again, yeah, I said it already, numerous disclaimers about this. I don't mean every woman, I don't mean every man. But oftentimes there tends to be the desire, the feminine desire, the female desire, if you will, for more of an experience, the overall picture, more of a holistic reality than just what's happening right at this moment. So the Torah says as follows, that when it comes to married life, first of all, both parties have to agree. There's no such thing as forced marriage. Even the so-called arranged marriage that happens in certain circles, it's not arranged. It means that it was suggested and it was a certain match is suggested, but nobody's forced to get married. And on the contrary, it's against the Torah to force anybody to get married. Everybody here probably knows that already, but I feel like I should say it anyway. It's against the Torah. There's no such thing as forced marriage. It doesn't exist. So the Torah says as follows. When a man and a woman decide to get married, it's not a free-for-all, but there's a structure. And the structure is there to assist the couple in building a home. So just like when you build a house in New York City, you have to follow certain code, certain zoning laws. Some of it might not make sense to you. You might say, well, why can't I build my house that's, I don't know, whatever, 10 stories high? Why do you only allow me to build 2 stories high? I'm going to build a 10-story tall house. Well, over here in 11367 zip code, you're not allowed to build a house that's 10 stories high. Why? Whatever, different reasons. What is the exact reason? I don't know. Other things are, for example, fire code. You can't have a house with 1 door. Why not? God forbid, if there's an emergency, there's a fire, God forbid, and that exit is blocked, you're stuck. What are you going to do, God forbid? So this code, some of it we may understand quite easily. You need to have at least 2 modes of egress, right? 2 ways to get out of the house, front door and a back door. Right here in the Chabad house, we actually have 3 doors, the front or the back, front. We were trying to convince people that's the front. Nobody believes us. Front door, back door, and there's also a door downstairs. We actually have 3 ways to get out, God forbid, if there was an emergency. So these laws, these code is actually there for you. It's actually there to protect you. Sometimes it may feel annoying. Sometimes it may feel, well, but why don't you let me build a house the way I want to build the house? And the answer is the city of New York has certain code. There's rules, there's laws. It doesn't all make sense necessarily, by the way. So lahavdil, to differentiate in Jewish life, we also have code when we want to build a home. And some of it we may understand, some of it we may not understand, but it's all there to help you. It's all there for your benefit. And the basic code, if you will, of Jewish married life is called Taharat HaMishpacha. Or if I'm Ashkenazi, which I am, I would say Taharas HaMishpacha, which literally translate as family purity. What does it mean? It basically means that even when a man and woman are married, they're not allowed to be sexually intimate just because they feel like it. But it's guided by the woman's natural cycle, that God made it in such a way, the world is created in such a way that we have nature, men are different than women have a cycle, and it goes roughly every month. And during the woman's cycle, intimacy is not permitted. Now, it's not just during the cycle itself, there's an extra 7 days after that. So not to scare anybody, but we're talking 12 days minimum. Usually it's about 12, 13 days, could be 11 also, but we're not going to go into all the details. Let's just say for the sake of convenience, 12 days, keep it simple. When sexual intimacy is not permitted, even though you're married and even though both couples say, sure, well, I want to. Well, there's something beyond you. There's a code that's there to protect you. That's a code that's meant to guide you in fostering a healthy relationship. So the Torah says during that time period, not only is sexual intimacy not allowed, but neither is, sorry for me for saying this publicly, but touching is also not allowed during that time. It can be challenging, it can be hard. And the truth is that it should be hard. It should be challenging. If a young couple gets married and says, oh, it's very, very easy to stay apart from each other physically for 12 days out of the month, that's very easy. Well, all I could say as someone who's taught young grooms and my wife's taught young brides, all I can say is, I'm sorry to hear that. I feel bad for you. If it's easy, that's not the best sign. It should not be easy. And just because things are hard doesn't mean they're bad. Things can be hard and can be very, very good. It can be very, very good. So that's the basic structure of married life in terms of family purity. At the end of those 12 days, the woman, after various preparations, which we're not going to go into all the details, immerses in a mikveh, and then intimacy is permitted, not only permitted, it's actually a mitzvah to resume intimacy. Of course, only under the general idea we mentioned before. It has to be willing. Both parties have to be willing and excited and so on and so forth. So that is the basic structure of family purity. Is it easy? No, it's not necessarily easy. That's okay. Not everything in life is easy. In fact, sometimes the most rewarding things also are the most difficult. So that being said, when one gets ready, gets engaged, you want to find someone that you know, that you trust, that can teach you these laws. Not every rabbi knows them. Yeah, question or comment?
Yeah, I have a question about
Sure.
Nida. I was wondering,
Sure.
do people still do Nida when the woman goes through menopause?
That's a very, very good question. The answer is as follows. When a woman goes through menopause, which means basically in plain English, for those who don't know, that she stops receiving her monthly menstrual cycle. And it's not necessarily like, in fact, probably not, just doesn't like stop. It, take over a certain period of time. It could sort of become more or less frequent and then eventually will, meaning it's not an immediate stop. So the answer is that no, the laws of Nida are not required. What would be required is as long as that particular woman, whoever we're talking about, did immerse in the mikveh after her last cycle. And then if she just never got another cycle again, then there's no reason for her to immerse in a mikveh, and there's no need to keep the laws of Nida anymore because she's not getting her cycle. And that would be the way to keep the laws, is by doing nothing at that point.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. By the way, even though we mentioned the menstrual cycle as the main way a woman becomes nida, which again, nida basically means that sexual intimacy and other forms of intimate contact are not permitted with her husband. There's other ways as well. Having a baby is probably the next most common way. Having a baby. Yes, when a woman has a baby, she also becomes nida. And yeah, we could talk about those laws and in preparation for marriage. So when you get engaged, when you want to find someone that you know, that you trust, that feel comfortable sharing with. Now, I want to make something that I think is important to note as well. Sometimes you have a question, what do I do? There's a certain scenario that may come up in your married life, and you're not, I'm talking about specifically with laws of Taras Mishpacha, but really it could be anything. It could be anything. And you're not sure what to do. And you think, maybe this is a question for a rabbi. Maybe I should ask a rabbi what to do. Whether I opened up my drawer of my dairy cutlery, and you know what I found in there? A meat fork. Oh no, what do I do? Well, if you don't know what to do, you know what you might do? You might call me, you might call some other rabbi and say, hey, what do I do? I found a meat fork in my dairy drawer. What do I do? And the rabbi hopefully will know how to answer the question. The rabbi may have to ask you certain questions as well to help clarify and then be able to give you an answer. Same thing, by the way, is with the laws of nida, laws of family purity. It's intimate, it's personal. So a person may feel embarrassed to ask. That's normal, it's okay. But you should know, really, actually, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's part of life. It's part of every healthy human being, part of their life. And when you ask a rabbi a question in that area, it may feel personal to you, and it may indeed be personal. But the rabbi is going to answer the question in the same way as if you asked, what do I do? I found the meat fork in my dairy drawer, what do I do? Or am I allowed to get a haircut between Passover and Shavuot? Am I allowed to do ABC? The rabbi is going to look at it as the same type of thing. And he may ask you a couple questions to clarify that. And those may be questions that are personal. By the way, it stays there. It doesn't get transferred to anybody else. No one else is finding out this information. So I just want to clarify that even though you on your end may feel hesitant to ask questions about a private area of your life, an intimate area of your life, but you should know that number one, there's really nothing to be embarrassed about. Even if you are embarrassed, it's normal. It's like, people don't want to talk about certain things at the dinner table because that's kind of gross or it's embarrassing. Yeah, everybody does it, right? We don't need to go into the details, right? So too here, there's actually nothing to be embarrassed about. And on the contrary, the rabbi doesn't care. Yeah, personal, yeah, maybe it's personal, but he's going to answer your question. It's like meat and milk, like the meat fork and the dairy. Okay, whatever. This is a question. Can I get a haircut? Yes, no. Can I listen to music during Passover Shavuos? Yes, no. Like whatever the question is. Okay, this is the question. And if the rabbi is trained in that area, which, by the way, not necessarily every rabbi is highly trained in this area. Some are not. They'll maybe ask you some questions to clarify. Just like they may ask you questions if you say, well, I cooked dairy food in my meat pot. What do I do? They might say, well, how much dairy? What kind of meat pot? They may ask you questions, same too in this area. They may ask you questions. Questions may be of an intimate nature. The purpose for those questions is not, God forbid, to violate your privacy, God forbid, but it's to give you the correct answer, the best answer for you. And so yeah, I just want to share that. I want to share that's an important thing to know, that even though you may feel a bit embarrassed, that's normal, it's okay. But the rabbi hearing the question is just hearing a question in halacha, hearing a question in Jewish law. Is going to help you get to the best answer. The goal, by the way, of every rabbi who's trained in this area of Jewish law, when approached the question that has to do with this husband and wife coming together or not coming together, the goal is always to find a way to get the husband and wife together. That's always the goal. It may not always be possible. Just like if you call the rabbi and be like, I really want to eat this piece of ham. Could I eat it? The rabbi's going to say no. No, but I really want to eat it. No, you can't. No, but I really want to eat it. No. So the answer may sometimes be no. But whenever possible, the goal is going to be to bring husband and wife together. That's always the goal. Okay. Questions, comments? Okay. What did I want to say next? Okay, so that's the basic. I didn't go through all the details. We're not going to go through the details now, but that's the general framework of how it works. When a woman immerses in the mikveh, the night of the mikveh is a mitzvah to be intimate, the husband and wife together, and a person should go out of their way, should rearrange their plans. If you have other plans, you should rearrange them if you can. The husband should be extra sensitive at that time to make sure that, I don't know, cook dinner that night. Make sure that your wife has the time and the space of mind to make the necessary preparations for mikveh. Husband could cook dinner. You don't know how to cook dinner? Maybe should you call the phone or go on the internet and maybe order dinner? It's not that complicated. It's 2026, right? So there has to be a give and take, a recognition and a presence of mind for the other person. And as we spoke about, I believe it was last week, about the idea that when God created the world, first he made a vacant space, an open space, which Kabbalah talks about. So too in the marriage, we have to make sure that there's space for the other person. What does it mean to make space for another person? Anyone? In marriage or otherwise? Anyone? What does it mean to make space for another person? Anyone?
So
Does that mean nobody knows, or it means it was a bad question? How do you make space for another human being? Uh-oh. Oh, okay, yeah, good. Someone saved me. Someone's gonna say something.
You make sure you have free time for them.
Okay, that's very good. Make sure you have free time for them. How much free time? I don't know. There's no hard fast rules, but it means you make free time. Now, just to add to that, free time might mean that even if you don't have free time, you make time. If the person matters to you, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your children, or whether it's a good friend, or whoever it may be, you make time for that person, even if it costs you. Meaning, even if you have to sacrifice something else, but if it's important to you, you make time for that person. So that might mean that a married couple may say, even though we went and we dated before we were engaged, you know what? Let's date also after we're married. Let's carve time. Just like you might be dating someone, call them up and say, hey, would you like to go out for dinner on Thursday night? And the person says, oh yeah, that's great. Or says, oh no, Thursday night doesn't work for me. Can we do Wednesday night? Whatever it's going to be, right? Just like you do that when you're single and you're seeing someone, so too when you're married. You're going to have to say, hey, can we do dinner Thursday night? Where's my wife? She's here. Okay. She doesn't know I just said that. So can we do dinner Thursday night? You want to make a point. This is very basic what I'm saying. I don't think I'm saying anything that you probably don't know already, but it just having spoken to a lot of married couples, young married couples, it's worth me saying it, even if you probably already know it. You need to make a point of spending time together. It's not enough to say, well, we're married. Of course we spend time together. That's true, by the way. You're married. I certainly hope you see your spouse. You're going to see them, right? Let me tell you something. Life moves really fast. Life moves really fast. So before you know it, things are happening. God willing, you'll have children, and you're busy, and you're legitimately busy. Life moves really fast. You need to pause and step back and say, 1 second. Even though I live with you, I don't know if we've had a conversation in the last, I don't want to say how long. So you need to make a point of carving time, whether it's just it doesn't have to be a lot of time necessarily. whether it's to go for coffee, whether it's to go for dinner, or whether it's to go on a vacation together, either one. So that's one way that you make space for the other person is you make time for them. Any other ways to make space for another person?
Like, it's what you said though, like date nights, like, oh, this night, no, but like you can't do that, because like life changes, but like. We have to do at least one night a week, we just go out to dinner.
You have to do something. Now, does it have to be one night a week? Maybe that depends on the couple.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say there's
Minimum.
rules.
If you want to do 2 weeks.
But the idea, what you're saying is 100% true. You need to make those nights. You need to make the time that's carved out that's dedicated for the other person, which means, by the way, you have this thing in your pocket or your hand, right? It needs to be put away. That's this, you know what I'm talking about, the smartphone.
Telephone.
Smartphone. You need to put it away. You need to put it away. It will be a good idea. Then when you see, if you have the type of job when you're married that you actually get to have dinner together, it would be a good idea that your phone is not at the table and you're not scrolling it while you're eating dinner with your spouse. That would be a good idea. Put the phone away. Likewise, I mentioned this once before, but I really believe it very strongly. So I'll say it again. The phone does not belong in the bedroom. It doesn't belong there. That's just my opinion, so you don't have to agree. I'm gonna, as they say, like that's a hill I'm willing to, I'm not gonna say die because I don't want to die, but that's a fight I'm willing to fight. The phone does not belong in the bedroom unless there's an emergency. If you need an alarm clock, go on Amazon. I think I said the other week, that's why God created Amazon, and buy an alarm clock. You don't need your phone for an alarm clock. Emergency, okay. Why should the phone not belong in the other room? In the bedroom, very simple. Just like in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, there were varying levels of holiness in the temple. There were areas in the temple where anybody could enter. Then there were areas in the temple where only the Kohen entered. Then there was the area in the temple, the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, where only the Kohen Gadol entered, and even that only on Yom Kippur. The Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies. The bedroom is the Holy of Holies. The same thing. It's where there's a unity between God and the Jewish people, a unity between husband and wife, and that is an intimate space. You shouldn't let in other influences. Amongst married couples, I probably would get a lot of flack, but I would even say your kids are not allowed in the bedroom either. Kids are not allowed to come in the bedroom. My opinion, I would get a lot of flack for it. I don't mean ever. The children should be educated. I know we're fast forwarding, right? I'm going to say it anyway. That you cannot walk into your parents' bedroom without permission. You must knock first. It's part of educating children. This is mommy and tati's space. This is Abba and Ima's space. You want to come in? You don't just bust in. What do you think this is? It's the Grand Central Station. If you want to come in, knock on the door. And we'll either tell you come in or we'll tell you, wait a minute. That's okay. That's part of education, by the way. It's part of education. And children will push the boundary. They'll come in anyway. You have to do it again. No, I'm sorry. No. You can even, by the way, say, leave the room and try that again. Until they get it right, until they get the point. You have to knock. There's something that needs to be holy about that space. A physical space carved out for spiritual holiness as well, which then permeates the rest of the home as well. Again, I don't like to compartmentalize. That's why when you have that central space of holiness, it permeates the rest of the home and the rest of the family life as well. So that being said, what does it mean? You ever heard the phrase, people say in English, to know someone biblically? You heard such a phrase before? Nobody heard that phrase. You heard a phrase before.
Yeah.
To know someone biblically means to be sexually intimate with them. Huh? Oh, thank you. Adam knew Eve. That's how he knows. Right. So the Torah says, V'ha'adam yada schava. Adam knew Eve. Shalom aleichem. Nice to meet you. Nice to get to know you. What does it mean Adam knew Eve? Like he knew her? No, it means he knew her. As the phrase will go, he knew her biblically, which means they were sexually intimate together. So why does the Torah, which establishes reality, use the word knowledge? Adam knew Eve. Can you use a word that's like more straightforward? Like what is it? If you ask a child, what does it mean Adam knew Eve? A child will say, what do you mean? It means he knew her. After all, there are only two people in the world. How could he not know her? So why doesn't the Torah just say straightforward? Say the word that it actually means. Instead it says knowing. And knowledge is used to indicate intimacy. Any idea what does knowledge have to do with anything? Okay, I won't make you guess anymore. So on a very simple level, knowledge means get to know her or him. Get to know the person. It's very simple. Well, you think when you get married, you know the person? I said to a senior rabbi recently, I was having a conversation about some of these topics, and I asked him, how long does it take to get to know your wife? How long does it take? I asked him. It's a rabbi probably 20 years older than me. He laughed. How long does it take to get to know another human being? Can you truly say you know any other human being? Like you really know them? And the answer is, of course, there's varying degrees. So on a very simple level, Adam knew Eve means you got to get to know the person. That's not going to happen on autopilot. That's not going to happen if you just take the other person for granted. That's not going to happen if you don't carve time to go on date night with them, if you don't carve time to listen to what they're actually saying to you. None of that will happen without, on a very basic level, getting to know them. Get to know the person. It says in the Tanya, with some of you took a JewishU course on the Tanya with me as well, maybe more than one. So it says in the Tanya that Adam knew Eve. But what does it mean to know? That knowledge means, it says here, to connect, to be bonded with the other person. Meaning knowledge is different than having information. Like someone told me the other day, someone asked me, you know what AI stands for? So I said, artificial, huh? What did you say? What did you say?
Not what you were going to say.
Oh, what did you?
All intelligence.
All intelligence. Okay. So I said artificial intelligence.
Yeah, well, I know that's what it actually stands for.
So the person said to me, no, it doesn't stand for artificial intelligence. It stands for aggregated information. Meaning it's just collecting all the information. There's a big difference between having information and knowing the information. Knowing the information means not just that I have it and can repeat it like a parrot, can also repeat words that a human being said. Knowing it means to be able to internalize it, take it in, and then repeat it in my way, in my language, on my terms, in a language that I understand. It's like translating something. So knowledge really means not just that I have information, not just like, yeah, I know who my wife is, I know her name, I know her birthday. Like that's all, that's a good starting point. To know her birthday, to know her name, know where she's from, know her stories from childhood. It's a good starting point. That's not knowledge. That's information. That's like AI, you're like a computer. You have information. So if someone asks you a question about your wife, you can answer, I can answer the question. That's not a relationship. That's being like a computer. That's AI, artificial intelligence, aggregated information, however you want to look at it. Knowledge means you're bonded, you're connected. You're connected. That's very, very different than just having information. So the goal, the purpose of intimacy, which is again, the Torah expresses that as das, as knowledge. The goal of that is to be bonded, is to be connected. Connected to what? So on a basic level, connected to each other. Husband and wife should be not just know each other, like I have information about you. Shouldn't just be information. Like again, the computer a computer knows more about us than we do. The same person, by the way, told me that when she puts something into AI, it writes it back exactly like she would write it. I thought, oh, never. That's really, sorry to hear that. You're so like boring that the computer can tell you exactly what you're going to say. But okay, that's what you said. The computer write back exactly what I would say and exactly the way I would say it. Sounds so boring, really? You're that predictable? Everything? So real knowledge and the real purpose of marriage and the purpose of intimacy between husband and wife, which is a bedrock of marriage. Marriage without intimacy is not marriage. Right? Judaism doesn't believe in this ideal of like the holiest person in the religion doesn't get married. I think everybody here knows that. That's the opposite of Judaism, the complete opposite of Judaism. So the purpose of that, or the function, is that it should create a feeling of bonding, a feeling of connection, starting point with each other. If it doesn't create a feeling of bonding, there's something missing. Then something's not happening in the right way. Something's missing. Now, that bonding, that feeling of connection is going to start with your spouse. Hopefully. Again, if it's not, then something needs to be adjusted. That's okay, by the way. That something needs to be adjusted. Something needs to be, whether you need, maybe a therapist, maybe a rabbi, a good friend, something could be adjusted to find out how come we don't feel bonded? How come we're not feeling connected? Because it's very normal. I don't mean all the time necessarily. It's very normal. These are, we're humans. But that connection then is meant to not stay still, just like the holiness that the Kohen Gadol would experience in the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur. You know what he did afterwards, by the way? Anybody know what the Kohen Gadol did on Yom Kippur after he left the Holy of Holies, the Kodesh HaGadol? You know what he did after? Listen to this, get this. After he would leave the Holy of Holies, having the most sublime spiritual experience that a human being could possibly have, after Yom Kippur was over, then he would go home and make a party with his family and friends. Go home and make a party. Why?
Because he was still alive.
Because he was still alive. That's the simple reason, because he's still alive. But on a deeper level, he's still alive. Therefore, I'm still here to celebrate life. I'm still here to celebrate connection. I'm still here to celebrate bonding. And it's not just for me, it's to share with everybody else here. So ultimately, the bonding that takes place in the Holy of Holies between a husband and his wife is meant to be, I'm not going to say shared per se, but is meant to extend beyond the immediate intimate act. It's meant to extend into the kitchen, into the living room, into the family life, into the children, into the vacations, and into everything else. It's meant to expand and extend forth, kind of like the sun shines light. So, for example, maybe this might, I don't know how it's going to sound, but I'll say it, whatever. That proper intimacy should lead a person to have a better davening the next morning. Their prayer should feel different the next morning, should be invigorated, uplifted. That's what happens when a person is bonded. That's what happens when a person is connected. The connection is not just, oh, we're connected here. We're connected in this one room. No. Connection extends, it expands. That's when it's done properly. That's when there's a real recognition of making space for the other person, a real allowance to bond with the other person, to connect with the other person. Part of the hallmark of that is my house shining with light? If your house is shining with light, then you're doing something right. Then you're on the right path. And it's not always going to be like that. Life is up and down. Life is up and down. That's normal, right? That's fine. Questions or comments? And while I'm on that, I meant to mention at the beginning of the class, but I forgot, but it's important, so I'm going to mention as well, that if God willing, any time that you're down the line from now, if you ever find you need a little bit of help, whether it's with a halacha question or whether it's with a relationship, first of all, know that you're not alone. Everybody needs a little help. That's first of all. Second of all, know that I can almost guarantee you that whatever challenge you're experiencing, whether it's a challenge in intimacy physically, whether it's a challenge in intimacy emotionally, whatever it may be, or other area of your married life, I can almost guarantee, I can't guarantee because I'm not a prophet, but I can almost guarantee you that you're not the first person to deal with that challenge. And thank God it's 2026, there's a lot of resources available. There are many resources available to help a couple bond and connect. So a person should never, I shouldn't say never, shouldn't allow a relationship to be sticky. There's so much help available, so much help available. Be careful where you get the help from. Not all help is good. There's so much help available for a couple to help them connect to each other, to help them bond to each other. And asking for help is a sign to the other person that you want to bond, that you want to connect. You're already halfway to the solution. Just by demonstrating to the other person, I care, I'm carving time to bond. I see there's something happening here. Let's work on that to fix it. I want to improve. I want to make that better. You're halfway there. You're halfway to the solution already. So I'm just putting that out there. There's help in many areas available, whether it's couples that are having trouble conceiving, husband and wife to get married, young, and for whatever reason, they want to have a child and they can't. Let me tell you something. There's many organizations available that are experts in this area that can help, that can advise you, that can guide, all within the realm of Judaism. Jewish organizations that are experts in this area, so many people that can help, whether it's other relationship issues and so on and so forth. So I'll conclude with one last thing, unless anybody has any questions or comments. I heard from my rabbi in Jerusalem that the verse says, we say it in the davening in the morning, oiz v'chedva bin koimoi, which means, oiz means like strength, and chedva and joy, bin koimoi, in his place, his with a capital H. There's strength and joy in his place. He asked me, what does it mean? So he said, this is the way you have to understand the verse. If you're in his place, if you're in the right Jewish place, so to speak, that's accompanied with strength and joy. Simcha. If you don't have simcha in your life, then you're not in his place. There's something missing that you need to adjust. So I would say the same thing in marriage. Marriage is a great source of joy. Marriage is not easy. Probably the only easy marriages are bad, I would assume. But something that's good needs effort, needs you to invest, needs you to work. And that can lead to a lot of light in the home. And if you're not feeling that, there's always, you can, again, reach out for help. There's many organizations that can help, people that can help, and so on and so forth. But we should remember the idea that marriage and intimacy in particular is about the idea of das, of knowledge, of knowing. Knowing means to bond, to be connected with the other person, with Hashem, with the Jewish people. And then that extends automatically, just like the Kohen Gadol who leaves the Holy of Holies and he's happy he didn't die. But he also says, now I'm going to share this life. I'm going to share this energy with my friends and family. So thanks everyone for coming to JewishU. And the gala, Lag BaOmer, a week from tomorrow, 6 p.m. Food, friends, good stuff.